Hello, and welcome to the Monday show of Adamo Baseball, where I'm your host, Adamo. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the 1907 World Series. And so, right in front of me, right below the camera, I've got my tablet that's got the lineup card for both teams in the 1907 World Series. And on my computer, I've got the camera going, and I've also got the website that shows me certain details about the World Series itself. So, for this one, again, not a very dramatic World Series. In fact, I wouldn't say this one was bland. The games were fast. I mean, Game 1 was the longest game, and it was called because of daylight. Seriously, they didn't have lights at baseball parks yet. That was actually played at West Side Grounds. That's what they called it. That's why, at the time, the Cubs were called the West Siders. Their moniker was the Cubs, but they were nicknamed the West Siders. And the Tigers played at Bennett Park. Today, we expect to see somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 to 45,000 people at any one game. Game 1 of the World Series at the highest attendance, they had 24,377. That was the highest attendance. It had the longest game time of 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it was called after 12 innings in a tie, 3-3, because it was dark out. And after that, it was all Cubs. They swept the series 4-0-1. It was the first World Series with a tie. Because I mentioned, they called the game because it was too dark out. Well, that was the first game where it was legit so dark they couldn't play. So they called it a tie. The other 4 games, however, the Chicago Cubs won, but it wasn't all Chicago. Though the exact same Hall of Famers that were in this World Series were in the 1906 World Series with Mordecai Brown, Frank Chance, Johnny Evers, and Joe Tinker. There's even an umpire that was elected to the Hall of Fame. I didn't know this. Hank O'Day. He was elected into the Hall of Fame. I don't know when, but he was elected into the Hall of Fame for being one of the earliest umpires in baseball. And the Chicago Cubs got their first win in their second straight World Series. The Tigers played in their first World Series, and it was the first of 3 straight that they played in. I don't want to say how it went because I don't want to spoil the surprise. There were 3 Hall of Famers for the Detroit Tigers playing in this series. 2 of them you might not know. The other one, you're gonna know. The player that you probably don't know, Sam Crawford. They had a manager, Huey Jennings, who is in the Hall of Fame because of his success with the Tigers in the early 20th century. Then there's the other player, might have heard of him, Ty Cobb. You know, I only did an episode on him on my podcast a while back. But yeah, this was his first World Series. In fact, in Game 2, he hit a triple and was knocked in on a single, and that was the Tigers' only run of the game. Total. As far as offense goes, the Tigers scored 1 run in Game 3, 1 run in Game 4, and none in Game 5. As far as offense goes, they didn't have much. In fact, Ty Cobb hit 200 for the series. He had one of the 2 triples for the Tigers in the series. Claude Rossman, the guy who knocked him in Game 2, had the other triple. The Cubs had 1 triple, Harry Steinfeld, and there were 0 home runs on either side. Total. None. Though there were lots of strikeouts. The Cubs striked out 26 times. The Tigers striked out 22. The Cubs also had 16 stolen bases, whereas the Tigers had 6. The Tigers actually had more triples than they had doubles. The other Hall of Famer, Sam Crawford, had the 1 double for the Tigers. Only World Series that I'm aware of, at least through my research thus far, that only had 1 double. Going into the World Series, the Tigers actually played a real hard-fought pennant race with the Philadelphia Athletics. It actually came down to like the last weekend of the series, because the Tigers only won the pennant by 1.5 games at 92-58. The Cubs won their pennant with 107 wins by 17 games. It wasn't close. They won substantially. And yes, Frank Chance, the Hall of Famer for the Cubs, he was a player manager on that team. He had been a player manager. He managed to get the Cubs their first World Series title of 3 total in their history. So yeah, kind of a big deal. I'm not going to get a lot of chances to talk about Chicago Cubs World Series titles. Because like I said, there's only 3. And one of them, I don't expect I'm going to be able to talk about for a couple of years. If I'm still doing this YouTube channel years from now, it's going to be a while before I get a legit shot at it. So I'm actually enjoying talking about this. I'm not particularly a Cubs fan, but I don't hate them. Got nothing against them. I'm just not particularly a fan. This is going to be like the one time, or this is the first one. Thus far, we've had 0, count them, 0 repeat World Series champions. In 1903, we had the Boston Americans. 1904, none. 1905, the New York Giants. 1906, the Chicago White Sox. However, in the 1907 World Series, we had our first repeat appearance with Chicago Cubs because they lost in 1906. Then in 1908, you'll just have to wait till next week. I know this episode isn't very long, but you know what? I'm still glad I did it. If you think I left some things out or that I should have gone more in depth into something, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you're listening on my podcast, come on over to my YouTube channel and let me know down in the comments below. Or you can let me know on Twitter at AdamoBaseball or just at Adamo_baseball1. With that being said, thank you for listening and watching. Cheers until next time.